Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a huge favor and smash that subscribe channel. It really helps the YouTube channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Yes. And hit that follow button on your podcast as well. Whatever it is, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever the rest of them are. I don't know.
Google doesn't exist anymore, man. That's
No more
gone.
Google Podcasts?
No more Google Podcasts.
Shoot. Well, we have YouTube podcasts.
We do, yes.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Yeah, that works pretty well too.
Still can't figure out how to play that in the background, but I got time. Good
We'll figure
old
it out one
Ray.
day.
He has so much time. Let's get right into Bomber Talk, brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, the field, or in the stands with a custom airbrushed helmet, goalie mask, or project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
Yeah, and don't forget to tell them that Ray and Benny sent you.
We're about a week out, but what is the biggest takeaway from the BC Lions game? For me, it's got to be that defense. It's funny how all the experts were dead wrong. Everyone picked the Bombers to lose. But that defense under Jordan Younger seems to have turned a corner. They are playing like almost late season style defense. I was about to use another terminology, but I don't want to jinx it right now.
No.
You know, with players just flying around on the defense side of the ball, the Bombers have allowed one touchdown drive or less in 5 of the past 6 games and no touchdown drives in the past 2 games. Adam Bighill looks like he's turned back the clock in a couple games, getting 14 tackles and 1 sack. You can see that the D-line's improved, especially with Garbutt coming back, Adams coming back, getting into the sack column the last game. Willie Jefferson again in the sack column, knocking down some balls. So the D-line is starting to hum, man, like 104 yards and 0 points against BC Lions offense. And of course, the secondary is looking good. So that defense for me is the biggest thing I'm taking away from that BC game.
Yeah, no question at all. And to just add on there, 220 total yards they've given up in the last 2 games and only 9 points, so 3 field goals in those 2 games, which is impressive. And I questioned them right last week when we spoke. I questioned, okay, they played Saskatchewan with a backup quarterback. They played Toronto with a quarterback situation going on there. And I'd like to see what they can do against this BC team, man. And they blew it out of the water the way they played. They held Vernon Adams in check. Didn't let him get out of the pocket, didn't let him get comfortable. And like you said, that pass rush was on fire, rushing 3 guys mainly and sometimes 4. They didn't have to send the blitz. They didn't have to do those blitzes where they've been getting burned. Yeah, so pretty impressive showing. And I got to agree with you on that defense one. And Jordan Younger has, I don't know, maybe he's putting his stamp on this defense too, right? Because you questioned it and we said it about the DBs always being so far back or so far off. They were on top of these BC receivers. They didn't allow these BC receivers to get that ball. They made it trouble for them, especially on a lot of second downs. Evan Holm played a wicked game. Tyrell Ford, another touchdown. Oh my goodness, interception. I'll get those words right. So yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah, and like we already knew coming into the season that they probably had the best 1-2 punch at defensive halfback with Deatrick Nichols and Evan Holm. Like you say, Evan Holm's coming into form too. But they have a really good pair of corners with Terrell Bonds and Tyrell Ford. And where's Jamal Parker? Still on the injury list?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So this secondary is really looking good. And of course, it helps when you have the D-line, putting pressure on the quarterback. They can't afford to get closer and really cover these guys. And even at the beginning of the game, when they tried to go deep on Ford, he was right on that dude. That was a beautiful, beautiful coverage.
Yeah, like you say, like in the last couple of games, the pass rush hasn't really been there or gotten to the quarterback. They got to VA 4 times this game. So yeah, that DB group was doing a wicked job. And then you talk about Adam Bighill, who we're kind of mentioning as he lost a step. And maybe, you know what, maybe that lost step was him trying to figure his way back from that injury that he's still coming back from. And now in the last couple of games, he's starting to step it up, and he was a force in this one. So I guess we questioned him a little bit early. We'll wait next time on guys like that and give them the benefit of the doubt, especially coming off a serious injury like that.
That's a fun thing about being a fan and drinking beers. You can kind of be a little more passionate than trying to be a journalist and say the right thing and be scared of being wrong. It's all good. And he's looking great. because
Well,
and it's not the first time people have questioned him and his age.
oh
And
yeah.
he keeps coming back, and he's an important, like he was such an important part of the defense last year, and we saw that in late in the playoff games and in the Grey Cup. They missed him in
Yeah.
the middle.
For sure, yeah, and that's kind of the reason why BC probably didn't end up signing him. They probably thought he was losing a step, and look what he's done since he's come to Winnipeg. He hasn't lost that step, and he picked it right back up this season right now. So, and
Yeah.
then to me, the time of possession, it's wild looking at that number, 42 basically to 18. You
That's
know,
insane.
give or take a few seconds, but like that's crazy. You know, to hold a team under 100 yards passing or around 100 yards total in the CFL is just wild to me. So hopefully this defense continues to grow. The offense can figure out how to get some touchdowns on the board and put games away like that. You know, that game stayed close for a long time, even though the D was playing well. So, yeah, let's just see them continue to grow. And they have young guys, and they're turning into form, like you said, especially Terrell Bonds on the outside there. So it's fun to see. It was a fun game to watch, even though it was plus 400 out there.
Good old Bomber summer football. With the sun being on you. I know how
Oh,
it goes most of
sweat
the
until
time.
10:30, man.
Oh man, beautiful. Then we complain, we go golfing, it's cold.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Lose. The Bombers are at the halfway part of their season, going 3-6. How do you see this team finishing off the season? Let's start off with the offense. We'll look also at defense and special teams, and we'll also discuss where they're going to place going into the playoffs. Not exactly how they'll do in the playoffs. So, offense, how do you see this playing out? What's your kind of outlook on the 3-6 team that you've seen so far?
Yeah, last couple of weeks for Zach Claros have been good. So I see him getting a little bit better. I know a lot of it's a lot more short, ball offense kind of thing. But he has been stepping it up. No turnovers for him last game. Plus, you got Kenny Lawler hopefully coming back maybe after the bye. But it sounds like he's close. So you add that onto now Ontario Wilson, who has broken out this season, Wolotarski coming back, Dembski, and now I'm and Lucky Whitehead, who had a very good game against BC. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
questioning, where does that leave Rashid Bailey, and do they really need him at this point? So I'm kind of on backing off and maybe not signing the guy. But you know what? Right now the offense just got to click in the touchdown department. Oliveira had a 100-yard game last game, right?
Yeah.
Ontario Wilson, good. So now you just got to figure out how to turn 6 field goals, maybe half of those into touchdowns, right? So hopefully they can take the next step and continue to grow as well themselves.
Yeah, that must say something a little bit about maybe the possible soon return of Lawler if they're not going out to get Bailey. He's
Yeah.
got to be pretty close, not on that 6 game again for the second time. Again, second time, that's redundant. Maybe he's put on there, but at the same time, they knew he was coming. That's why Bailey isn't on there. And I'm hoping, with the return of Lawler, that will open up a lot of things, but I don't think that they'll necessarily be a high powered offense. Not like the BC offense we've seen earlier in the season, and not like the offense that we've seen the Bombers of past. Especially if they got the power running game going, they're a team that needs to score 25 if their defense is only allowing 20. And
Yeah.
hopefully that means lower turnovers as well. Because like you said, they were kind of suffering early on with turnovers. They're keeping those down, and they're leaving opportunities for themselves to win. The O line's looking a lot better. I'm not saying it's all on Pat Neufeld, obviously, but they held BC, who's number one in the league, to 1 sack. Josh Archibald, 0 sacks. And they just wore that defense down with that running game. So hopefully they'll lean on that running game a bit more. Because BC was also third, I think, or top three at least in the league against running. They put 142 on their ass. So, and like you said, field goals.
Mm.
Field goals got to turn into touchdowns, especially later on in the season. Bombers going 1 for 3 in the red zone. They can't be doing that later on in the season, in my humble opinion. It's
No, they
great that they
also
can depend on Castillo, especially post Chip Gate. Other than the hiccup against the Argos, he's consistent, but they're still last in the league in touchdowns with 14, 13 scored by the offense. So that's still an area of concern for me, a less of a concern because they have such a great defense.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like that game was close. Like it was only a 2-score game or a 1-score game for a while kind of thing. And if BC gets a touchdown, all of a sudden they're right back into it, even though the Bombers D had dominated kind of thing, right? Even into that third quarter. The other concern there is the third down gambles. And of course, I would have gone for this one in BC as well, but I don't know what's going on with Strebler and either barely making it or getting tackled and not making it. And this one in BC game was a terrible one, a terrible play that they not the terrible play that they ran. The execution of it was terrible, where he kind of stuttered a little bit, went to the left. It's like, dude, just you need a yard, and they give you a yard.
Yeah.
Pound that thing forward and let's not get cute. So and that kind of led to that was in the red zone. So that kind of led to some lost points there again. So they're gonna need to figure that out. And they got a couple weeks. It's unfortunate that they actually kind of have a bye this week. I know they need it, but it's kind of
Yeah,
bad,
they need it.
especially after that game. You'd like to see them come out and play again.
Yeah, they definitely need it. It's going to be a great return match against BC. Yeah, those third down gambles that aren't going through are also contributing to their league worst -7 turnover ratio.
Yeah. Yeah, that was their only turnover of the game last game was that third down gamble.
The Bombers have the most red zone opportunities, the most red zone plays, but have the second least red zone touchdowns in the CFL. A couple more banking those, and they're winning the majority of those games.
Well, yeah, every one of their losses have been close, right? They've been right in there, except for maybe that Montreal first game where they didn't look altogether great. But all the other games have been close. They just got to turn those field goals into touchdowns. They could have beat Toronto and Saskatchewan that way. So,
and it's great seeing Zach coming back, Zach Caleros. And a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, we talked about bus drivers versus bus riders. And they need Zach to be a bus driver, but that doesn't mean he has to go 350 with multiple touchdowns every game. It just when when the Bombers need a momentum change or they need a touchdown at a certain time of the game, they're going to get it, and they can depend on him to do it. That's
yeah,
the bus driving that they need from Zach Caleros.
yeah.
On the defense, I think I said almost everything I need to say about the defense in the earlier part of the session, about the secondary, about Big Hill, and about the defensive line. And they've really turned things around. So I don't know. Hopefully, with guys coming off the injury list, bulking up that D line, we'll see the Bombers give up more or less big 30+ plays on the run or the pass, and less 20+ plays on the run. They're still pretty low in the league with 18. But they've allowed only one in their last 3 games. So I'm very optimistic about the Bomber defense. Yeah, and they're really good against second down. 58%. They're getting off the field and giving the Bombers offense the ball. So that defense is looking good.
Yeah, and that's without right now still Kyrie Wilson too in there, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, exactly. And they have a couple of gunslinger QBs in the second half of the season, right? They'll probably face Trevor Harris twice. It sounds like he's close to coming back. They may face Jake Dolegala, who they who they made look pretty bad in that game against BC at the end there. So we'll see next week. So, but then again, Bo Levi Mitchell 2 more times too. So and Trey Ford, who came in, and he's going to be dynamic. And we watched the Bombers struggle against those rushing QBs last year. So we'll see what they do kind of with that guy this year. So yeah, the defense right now, you can't complain about how the defense is playing. Jordan Younger has done well. Limited blitzes last week that cost them, the all-out blitz. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing from them. And if they can continue to grow, they're going to be a force in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and create more turnovers would be crazy too.
Yes, that's probably it. That's probably the next step for them, right? Create more
Yeah.
turnovers, and maybe turn those turnovers into touchdowns, kind of thing. So yeah.
Special teams. What do you like about them? What do you see going into the second half of the season?
I guess the coverage game has been fantastic. They haven't really let anybody get by them or through like last year and starting off with terrible field position. Sergio Castillo obviously has been pretty good this year and 6 for 6 last game, plus 2 60-yarders. I mean, the guy's on fire, right? Like you say, take those 2 games away at Chipgate, Toronto. The guy's been on it this year. My issue for me on that special teams is Jamison Sheehan, who was pretty bad punting wise in that last game. Shanked one, also kicked one out of bounds. And I think he was just under 40 yards. No, 32.8 yard average. So they're going to need a lot more out of him, especially in a game like that. It was close. And BC was starting at a lot of times at the 50 or midfield. But a good thing the defense was very good that game. Otherwise, another team could have made them pay.
Yes. I can't really add more about Castillo. Dude has been a rock. I kind of like the steadiness and the aggressive running style of Cody Case that I've seen so far. He just runs without fear and commits to a crease and goes. And, that might not break you a touchdown, but that's going to get you 20 yards on a kickoff and a good 12, 15 on a punt. And that's valuable yardage for the Bombers, especially a team not punching it into the end zone. So the closer you can get, the better. Jameson Sheehan, I'm always on and off the fence about him. His average as an individual punter is worse in the league, but his net average is middle of the league. So he's really good at directional punting. I think he leans on that too much, but he can't, in regards to a consistent boom, it's not quite there.
No.
In regards to how they're going to finish, I can sincerely see this team going 6-3. I have a feeling, probably because of history, that they'll lose on Labor Day. I can see them losing to the Elks in Edmonton, and I can see them losing against the Argos because the Bombers do that. So I can see them going 6-3. They have the tiebreaker over the Stamps, so I think they'll host at least the West semifinal. That's what I'm seeing going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that 6-3. Maybe a couple other games that they may lose, like you say, Saskatchewan. Probably they're splitting that one for sure. They do play Montreal still one more time, and then Toronto again. So yeah, 6-3 for me. Probably finishing. Yeah, I'm not probably. I guess that 9-9 mark. Yeah, either the second, third kind of wild card, but I do see them making the playoffs if they can continue to play, especially this D the way they just did. I do need to see a second week of this, right? Kind of thing. It's like great to see it. Don't want to get too high off this one game. You want to see them continue to do it, but I'm optimistic again that they'll finish the season strong enough that they'll make the playoffs.
Host or be away for playoffs?
I'm going to say probably away just because they've dug themselves a hole. It all depends. Saskatchewan right now is in a battle with Ottawa and losing. It's a low scoring game. Still lots to go, but they could end up at least hosting the West semi, but I still probably see them being away for the playoffs.
Yeah. I just see Saskatchewan just falling out of the playoffs again, maybe getting a crossover. I don't know how they've been performing against the East this year. I just see Bombers, Calgary, and BC being the top three. And
Yeah, it all depends. It all depends when Trevor Harris gets back to see, what he can do with this team. Because Jay Patterson ain't it.
No.
He has not looked good, and he hasn't looked good tonight against the Red Blacks. So, they need Trevor Harris back, and it sounds like he'll be back probably at least for the Labor Day game. So it'll be interesting to see how they do with him at the helm instead of Jay Patterson.
I can't buy into Trevor Harris no more. He's been a steady starter. It's just injury wise now. It's getting too much. It's getting too much.
Getting older, man.
Midseason Bomber Awards: MOP offense, defense, rookie, special teams, and Canadian. Let's start with offense. Who do you got?
I'm still sticking with Brady Oliveira in that guy. He's been a force. He's leading the league in rushing, playing only 8 games so far. What does he have? About a 5.9 average. So I'm going to stick with him.
Every running back's played 8 games so far.
Yeah, I guess
Oliveira could have had running 9. Backs. Some have been injured, but stand back but he's still 6'11", dominant.
Yeah.
Brady Oliveira as well. I like everything you said. On defense, I'm gonna go Reddick Cramdy. I just like how he's been stepping his game up this year and how he's been all over the field and been a force in coverage and tackling and in sacks. So I'm gonna go Reddick Cramdy.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go stick with the tried and true and stick with Willie Jefferson. Again, he's been a force on that line, especially when the other side, the other DN spot was trying to get things figured out. Still with 4 sacks and a bunch of pass knockdowns. He was great against BC.
Who do you got for rookie?
Ontario Wilson, man, I got to go with him. That wide receiver, playing a wicked season, just over 500 yards, made a couple big catches. Again, over 100 yards against BC. Yeah. And a big 35-yard catch where he laid out for it when the Bombers really needed it, when the offense was kind of struggling to start that BC game.
Yeah, I was going to say Ontario Smith too, but I was going to say Ontario Smith because I wasn't too sure about my pick, and I probably should have double checked, but I'm going to go with Tyrell Ford. He is a rookie, isn't he? Because he never played, even though he played in the NFL.
Did he not play? Did he not see the field at all in that season when he was here?
Which one? Was he preseason?
Well, because he was here first, and then wasn't he here for full season or no? And then went to the NFL?
Oh. That could be right. So then I'll have to go out with Ontario Smith.
Wilson, you mean? Not Smith.
Ontario Smith. Wilson. Remember Ontario Smith? Wizinator?
The running back, right?
The Wizinator. The Wizinator. That was crazy. Was that under Joe Mack?
I think so.
Oh my gosh. What a destructive 3 to 4 year period that was. What am I talking about? Because I said Ontario Smith.
Yeah, we don't talk about Joe Mack.
We can when we laugh. We can when we laugh.
Yeah.
Special teams. I got Sergio Castillo.
Yeah,
just
no.
because he's just picked up his game like crazy and he's putting them through. And we don't have a returner quite yet. And the punting has been very phenomenal. So, Castillo.
Yeah, no question there. Like I said, the coverage team has been good, so a lot of guys have done great there. But yeah, Sergio Castillo is right now is head and shoulders above everybody there.
Who do you got for Canadian?
Brady Oliveira again, I guess. No question there.
Yeah, I'll go Radio Oliveira. I'll go with a little shout out to Reddick Cramdy again. In your CFL power rankings, not all of them, are the Bombers in the top 4 or are they in the bottom 5?
Middle of the pack. So I'm going to say they're still in the bottom 5. Like I said, it's one game. The offense played well, but settled for too many field goals for my liking. So I'd have to say Montreal, Lions, Ottawa, and Riders are probably still above them for now.
I say with the defense now, I'm going to have them top 4. I think if they play the Riders or the Red Blacks right now, I think the Bombers would beat them for it. Sure. Bomber fans, put your thoughts in the comment section below. A little bit of Jets talk. Shovel Day off talking at the Hlinka Cup.
Yeah.
Hlinka Gretzky Cup.
No, yeah. Don't forget Gretzky.
Yeah, the greatest ever. Seeing young guys play. And he says, I'm looking forward for our younger players to try and take a step. The ball's in their court. If you're a young player in our organization right now, it's all in front of you there for the taking. Are you thinking this is a message to Rutger McGroarty?
Kind of think it is a little bit. Like he's not obviously addressing him. He never addressed him in the article or the interview at all, kind of thing. But I think it is just a message saying, "Hey, buddy, if you came and you tried, you got a chance to make this lineup." There's a couple spots on the forward group, right? So, and he mentions Lambert and I'm going to say this wrong, Chibrikov, right? Chibrikov. I'll get it right one day. And then obviously Perfetti's still mentioned in there too. I can't see Perfetti not being. Hey,
Stanley.
Yeah, defensive wise, old Stanley, but I can't see Perfetti not being in the top 6 this year, unless he comes to camp totally out of shape, or I guess doesn't sign a contract at some point. So there's an opportunity for McGroarty if he wanted to come, right? And I think Chevy's just kind of throwing it out there, man. Hey, the opportunity's there because there's obviously no trades brewing right now. And nothing's happening. I haven't heard even a rumor about McGroarty lately. So, his best chance is probably coming and trying out for Winnipeg.
Yeah, I think he's literally talking to the people who he mentions, like you mentioned earlier, Stanley, Heinola, Lambert, Chibrikov, Perfetti. It is your chance to get on this team and this team for it to be good. Robert McGroarty, whatever. He's on the fence whether he makes a team or not. But they desperately need these guys to step up because there's not going to be an influx of veteran talent that they're going to get any time before the season starts. Like they literally have to step up to fill some holes for this team to be good. So Robert McGroarty, sure, that might catch a little on the side fade, but I think he's literally talking to those guys. It is in their court. Like they will have an absolute best opportunity to make this team this year out of any year. So especially with them buying out, what's his name, Nate Schmidt, for sure there's a spot to be taken in the 6th defense there for sure.
Well, so, Nate Schmidt, Brandon Dillon gone, right? So
they have to.
Colin Miller, Heinola, and Stanley kind of battling it out for those 3 spots. I know they signed Hayden Fleury as well, who once was a top draft pick. So we'll see what he does. But yeah, forward group wise, maybe less opportunity, but that second center is still going to be a question for the Jets. And I know Vlad Nemestikov has done well there at times, but him being a full season there, I don't see puts the Jets as a contender kind of thing. So it'll be interesting what happens there if Lambert can take it, if Perfetti gets another opportunity or not.
And like last year, I want to see Velarde at center. I want to see him get a shot at center. Maybe he doesn't want to play center, but he's just hurt all the time. Say what?
I said it's not happening, I don't think.
Well, to not consider it would be foolish.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even put him there at all last year when they needed someone, right? So
that's ridiculous. Let's move on to quick shots. Is Jake Dolegala going to sink, swim, or tread water as VA's replacement?
I must say tread water. They play Edmonton this week, Winnipeg, and then they got Ottawa twice. And Ottawa's D has actually been pretty good so far this season. So I think he'll do enough. He's got some good receivers. So he did decent in Saskatchewan last year at times. So I think he'll tread.
I think he's going to sink because he is playing some good defenses coming up. He has a 12 TD to 11 interception ratio. I think he might keep them at 500. And is that swimming or
That's treading, I
Oh
guess.
my goodness, barely. Like, yeah, I don't think if the only way he'll be good is if they let stand back run.
Yeah.
Like, he's a third leading rusher in the league, and they're middle of the pack when it comes to rushing attempts. Like, just give that guy the ball. Have the Elks turned the season around with the win and with Trey Ford at quarterback? No, their defense still sucks. Most TDs against, most net yards against by a solid 22 yards, like allowing 390 per game, almost 100 yards a game, almost 300 yards. Like, come on. The defense is not good enough, so it's not even close to them turning it around.
Yeah, I agree with you in that. Trey Ford may give him a better opportunity to possibly steal these games just with his dual threat ability. But I agree, you're 1-7. It's going to take a lot to turn this season around. So hopefully, again, they use Trey Ford to build for next year instead of benching him.
Will Nathan Rourke be on an NFL roster come week 1 of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, depends how he does in preseason. I know I was reading stuff that Atlanta really liked him and wanted him, but they got Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix, and Taylor Heineke, so that might be tough unless he can really outplay Heineke. But I do see him probably ending up on a practice roster and not maybe on a full-time roster.
I think yes, and it sounds like he's getting serious consideration at the number 3 spot. Maybe Atlanta tried to get him, but the Giants did beat him out on waivers. So, do you want to give Heineke money when that can maybe open up for something else? Who knows? I don't know. I say give him a chance. Which bomber would you put money on? This is great because there was this great Olympic funny article in the Free Press. Which bomber would you put money on to win a medal in the Olympics? Who and what event? I'll go Willie Jefferson, 3-on-3 basketball. This dude was playing AAU tournaments when he was young, and he mentioned that he knew some dudes playing overseas, and he can play like maybe a role play one day. So 3-on-3 basketball. I take Caleros in shooting. I just think he's cool under pressure for that. And Chris Strevler, I take him in handball. Decent arm, runs like a tank, can throw on the run. So yeah, those are mine.
All right, I only got one. I took Brady Oliveira in some kind of weightlifting event. Dude's got some solid lower body. Those legs are huge, so I think he'd be able to, I don't know what it's called, deadlift or something like that. I think he'd do pretty good.
The Olympic weightlifting is crazy. Where will Brandon Aiyuk end up?
Pittsburgh, I guess. I mean, that's the rumors. Either that or probably end up back in San Francisco.
So where will he end up?
I'm going to say Pittsburgh. If they're trading him, it'll be Pittsburgh.
I say San Fran. Man, if they're trading him, though, they're not going to get full value. They've tanked a bit of value with him not in favor of going to Cleveland, not in favor maybe of going to New England. So teams are being knocked off who probably could offer them the most compensation. They should just keep him, and I think they will.
Well, yeah, that sounds like they're not going to take the Steelers offer unless the Steelers offer comes up higher. So apparently New England was offering him over $30 million per year and a bunch of guaranteed money, and he said no. So and the best deal for San Francisco as well. But yeah, tough spot.
Yeah. I don't think he's ending up he's going to stay in San Fran. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Enjoy the bye week. Check out maybe some of our interviews while you're yearning for some Bomber football, and have a good week.
And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime, in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us what you think.